Well, hello, greetings, and welcome to the second panel of the day. We're very happy and delighted to have you here. As my mentor, Christopher Lafayette, has introduced me, I'm Lynn Gitau, Communications Director for GatherVerse. And with me, we have a very expert panel. I can't wait to hear from them. And they're going to help us in this roundtable discussion on the replaceable essence of artistry, exploring the limits of AI in creative process, of which I think is just an extension to the fireside chat that we just had right now. And kindly, panelists, we're going to be brief. I ask you to introduce yourself quick, and then we delve into the heart of the matter. I'll start with you, Stacey.
Hi, everybody. I'm Stacey Whittle, co-founder of Block of Love and Teatro del Corazón. I work both as a creative, as an actor, and also on the other side of kind of mentoring and exploring how we can use AI with actually performance. That was pretty short.
Wish, kindly follow.
Sure. I'm Wishborn. I'm the CEO of Renaissance Analytics, the creator of Spark, a virtual incubator that's powered by AI, and Sparky. He's a companion AI, goes along with him.
Adrian.
Peace, everybody. Adrian Rashad Driscoll, co-founder of Collimation TV. We extend the stage with a lot of musical and entertainment experiences. Basically, I tell stories and sometimes use a headset.
Nice. Terrence?
Hi, I'm Terrence Leclerc, founder CEO of Meta for You, an immersive interactive services company via talent, content, and consultation. I'm also an immersive person, which means I focus as a performer in interpersonal dynamics and moment-to-moment realities and world building in that sense.
Athia, I hope I did.
Wow. I mean, following those introductions, I don't know what I have to say. But I'm Adya. I'm a design director at Shinor, and I'm also founder and executive director of Academy of Art Design and Strategy. We teach, train, and also do hands-on design. I have a background in as an artist as well, so I guess that qualifies me here. Very nice to meet you all.
Thank you. Thank you for joining us. So let's get started. I'm looking at the image right next to our question, and you can all bet this is an AI-generated art. And we're here to discuss about this. So how does AI challenge traditional notions of creativity and artistry? Taking an example of this art that is just right there above us. Who wants to start? I think I go with Stacey.
Wow. So as an actor I've just taken a real role on a real stage in a real theater in a real town as a real person. So I feel really grateful for that opportunity. I just want to say, a lot of people are really afraid. And I think we need to start this conversation by addressing that so many people in the creative community are really scared of losing the little, and I'm not talking about Hollywood megastars, the little that they have. And so I feel like it's my responsibility to kind of help people through that process to realize that change is coming, it's already happening, and that we have to accept and kind of help drive it, right? So AI is challenging these traditional notions in such a way that there's this real profound shift that's taking place in people's minds about what it means. And so this idea of like losing my job and AI is going to kill all these industries is actually true. And so how do we think about our skill set and using it in this way to create a world that we want to be part of and that we can add to? So I know it's kind of not necessarily answering it directly, but I think it's a good starting place, at least for me.
Brilliant. Anyone else who want to chime in on that?
Yeah.
Yes, please. Okay.
Oh, go ahead, Wish. You can go first.
Cool, thank you. This is a particularly interesting topic for me too, because as an artist myself, I've been drawing since I was a kid. I like to but computers were always my biggest passion. So when you look at some of the first examples of digital art, they were just playing around with getting dots dancing around on a screen, and that's that's really what it comes down to. Art is a lot about expression. So when it comes to challenging how it's going to change traditional artwork, it's just giving us new tools to create new types of art, like poor art, right? Like poor art is something that is you don't have a lot of control over. It's not like somebody sitting down and drawing and etching out lines or carving out a piece of wood or something like that you have a lot of control over and in the detail. You're just kind of letting the elements go where they may, and you have a little bit of influence and inspiration in how it starts out. That's kind of like how AI is as well. Is you know what you want to express, but you maybe don't have the skills yourself to be able to do it. So AI gives you the ability to express that. And for traditional artists, it's just it ups the game. So people are never going to want to not care about handmade art. Like that's always going to have its own niche desire. People want that particular type of thing, but they're also going to get better. Like regular traditional artists are going to look at what an AI is able to create and be like, well, I can do better than what AI can do. And, if anything is proven true, is humans are always competing with each other and whatever else is around us.
Yeah, I think that's a very thought-provoking reflections. I've never thought of it that way. Adrian, please add to this conversation.
Yeah, look, AI doesn't challenge creativity. It does not challenge artistry. It never will, because artistry comes from a place of sentience, right? If you look at any AI generated art form, whatever it is, from film to images, as we often see, they're derivative, right? What is the prompt, right? But without a prompt or a narrative or a story, all of this is pointless. It can't create for you. It's saying, hey, look, what if I could do this and do that? What it does do is gives access, right? Because I can't draw for anything at all, right? But maybe I want to learn to draw if I can create something. What would the Mona Lisa be if it didn't have a story? It would be nothing. That's the truth of it. AI doesn't create stories. It creates images from the stories that you prompt it to tell. That's all it's doing, at least at this point.
Wow, is this how we're going to start? It's very, very interesting, very thought-provocative, and I love it. Now, let's go to you, Terence. I want you to answer me this specific question. Can AI truly replicate the human creative process, or does it serve as a tool for artists?
Thanks, Lynn. I think that's a great question. I want to echo, and I love what everyone's been saying. And it's very true, like what Adrian said. It's like the human creative process is something that I don't know if we fully understand, even as artists, where it comes from. And it just, this technology infringing upon creativity just reminds me of drum machines, like when they came out, and how it's like some drummers may have, been intimidated by that, and understandably so. But what it eventually led to was creating new forms of music and new forms of expression. And drummers who were proficient drummers became the most skilled at programming realistic drum patterns, in those machines, which to, follow up on what Stacy was saying, as an actor, I was on the, strike lines, for SAG-AFTRA. I've been a member since 2001. And there is a big fear about AI replacing people. And I was encouraging actors to look into AI. I think that's, and when I say AI, it's true that AI has been around since the 80s. And when we talk about AI, we're meaning more just like open AI and just like the most recent rush and availability of the technology, right? So in that sense, like the programming, like Sora, like being able to create films, with just a prompt and things like that. It's true, like what Adrian was saying about it's about the prompts, and just like drummers who know patterns can program patterns in drum machines, actors and storytellers and people who have studied their craft know a skill, know that their skill so well that they can infuse that knowledge in this tool, which it ultimately is. I love mentioning how AI is like, it's like a Furby, where it's like the way it's designed is it's meant to trick you into thinking it's a living thing. It's not, it's an algorithm. And that speaks to our human loneliness of wanting there to be something alive there. which is a beautiful thing. But we have each other to find that in, which is also beautiful. But so to answer your question, I think it serves as a tool. It can serve as a tool if we approach it as such, rather than be intimidated. I guess when we all came up with fire, right? Like same thing where we're like, this is going to destroy us. And it's like, well, change is tough, but welcoming change with an inclusive and optimistic mindset will lead to beautiful transformations.
Well, that's a very brilliant answer. But I tend to look at AI as a double-edged sword. It is a tool, and yet it can replicate what we're doing because we are the ones who are creating it. Whatever is being output there, look at Sora. And I'm just referring back to our conversation that we had yesterday, a fireside chat, or was it a panel with Chris and it was about creatives, and Chris mentioned that we don't know how much this Sora can go. They are only showing us for 1 minute, but we don't know how much it can go. What if it can create a movie like Netflix? And what if it can create a whole maybe drama or a whole movie? We don't know. So I think it serves as a double-edged sword here. It's a tool, but also it's a replica of who we are and what we do. Maybe let me go to the next question. And Ate, I want you to jump in on this. What are the ethical implications of using AI in artistic creation?
Wow, I mean, the loaded question comes to the last person. I just to resonate with the rest of the panelists. I mean, AI is a tool, right? And how we use it and how we express ourselves and how we use that within the process that we have, that's up to us because we have that control. We are the ones navigating this tool. It's not that it's doing something without, like how Adrian mentioned, there's a prompt. There is somebody's thought process, original thought process of a human being that's going into this knowledge base, right? And this knowledge base is a lot of people collaborating to give AI the knowledge that it has today. That's why it's always going to be a little behind. It's just that it has a larger mind than we can have, right? We use 10% of our brain, that's using 100% of its. So that's the only difference. And instead of thinking of, and I see this a lot, is that it's us versus AI, but then who created it? It's us. So then why is it that we are like Captain America and Iron Man, like versus each other, like running around fighting this thing when we just have to um, accept that that's what the new technology is, and then how do we come back to balance, right? So right now we're in that upheaval of the world is imbalanced, but soon enough we're going to find the water is going to find its level, right? And we'll figure out how to use it. Coming to ethical implications, it is not. I think we're still in the beginning stages of seeing what it's capable of. So really the ethical implications will come a little later on in that process because we don't even know what it's capable of. So answering a questions or raising that question about fairness, originality, credit to work. I mean, it's not that we're giving credit to work even today, right? If there's a software being used for a movie, or if there is a technology that's using for digital art, for example, if someone's using Illustrator or is using Procreate, there is a credit given to the tool because the tool helped you make art, right? But so why not just give that credit that, okay, ChatGPT helped me make this story or AI helped me with this? Of course, the credit, because that knowledge base is what we used to create it. That doesn't take away from our originality. It doesn't take away from what we use to express and the point that we are expressing. It's just a means to communicate because nothing is going to think and feel like a human. There is no replacement of a human being because we are original beings. And even though we would love to think that we're capable of creating life, it's just not possible. So let's just take away this superior thinking that we have, that we are capable of creating life and we are this Dr. Frankenstein. It's not happening. So that's what I think.
Yeah, that's very brilliant. And let's go to collaborations. We always talk about collaborations between human beings, collaborations between organizations, but right now, with this era of AI, we have to consider collaborations with AI. How do we collaborate with AI? And this is an open question for all of you. To anyone who is ready to chime in on this, please tell us, how can artists and technologies collaborate to explore the full potential of AI?
I went to CES in Las Vegas to actually find that out, because I'm trying to create a show in which I will have someone as a hologram appear, and then we will place that in a virtual in a headset. So I was looking for that and trying to figure out a really great way of collaborating, and everyone seems to be open to it. Haven't had anyone say I'm not interested. So I think they're just it's as an artist keeping abreast of those technologies that we can use, and I can guarantee that, and I'm sure Terrence and others can say that so many artists have no, because they just don't want to. They're like, nope, not using it. Nope, don't want to think about it. Nope. And so we're missing out. So I feel like it's not just a good idea, it's an imperative. Otherwise, then we get left behind. So
100%. I absolutely agree with. Sorry, Lynn, I've cut you off. But,
Yeah, please. I just want to welcome Lisa. Welcome on board. Manuel, I think you can proceed with your contribution.
yeah, so like I was saying, and I agree with Stacey, it's the acceptance is not there. And even the fact that we should learn this tool and understand what it's capable of. A lot of people are afraid, maybe, or is it just that we're so comfortable and satisfied in where we are in life that we don't want to learn? So the fact that humans are not open to learning is the hindrance here. It's just that. It's not because it's going to take away the jobs. Of course, when there's change, there's always someone who's losing out and someone who's winning. But the winners are mostly people who are learning, who are evolving, who are adapting to change, right? And if you don't do that, and if you are sitting on your laurels and be like, okay, I have 50 years under my belt, nothing can replace me. Well, wake up. It can, right? That's it.
I just want to have a quick addition to that. And I think we should be collaborating with the technologist as artists, because what happens is when you go to CES, for example, you see a lot of really cool technology and the footprint sucks. Why? Because you have technologists and engineers trying to be creative instead of partnering with artists and storytellers to use these tools and blow everybody's mind. Like, you can have great experiences while using your tech, but work with people who tell stories for a living. That's just my 2 cents.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more to that. And maybe Lisa, please join in the table with this question. What role does human emotion play in art, and can AI capture this essence?
Well, good morning, everybody. Sorry, I was stuck in the waiting room for 20 minutes, waiting to be let in. So there you go, technology, right? So technology, the actual meaning of the word is knowledge used for purpose. So that's actually the definition of technology. So knowledge, of course, comes from the creators. And so everyone's a creator. Everybody has artistic energy within them, and whether they use it or not is up to them. Just like everybody has the aptitude for learning what's important to them, that's up to them. Creativity to me is just something that bursts everything that is born of our imaginations. You can label as creativity, whether it's cooking a meal or whether it's making a all digital CG animated movie. Yesterday on Instagram, women AI artists sent out a survey to women AI artists on Instagram, asking us what we would like to see more of, or what's important for us to see. And for me, someone who's been using AI since 1980, and you all have been using AI since 1980. It's just, it reaches the public's imagination at in different ways, in different mechanisms. But my answer was, I always love a good story. So even if it's a still painting, a still photograph, a still piece of AI art, there's still a story there for me. If there's no story being told, then I'm not that interested. I also tend towards peace. I'm attracted to peace. I work on peace projects only. And so if someone's telling a story and it's uplifting, it doesn't mean it can't have any drama in it, but I don't believe in gratuitous violence or putting people down. Or, putting other people's culture or other cultural wisdoms ahead of other cultural wisdoms. So for me, my answer was based on, I like to see things animate, maybe because I started as an animator. Well, actually, I started as a still photographer, but then I started as an animator, hand drawing. And so from my point of view, any AI that we've used since 1980 has been to create motion in the stories that we're looking at. So whether it's taking a drawing and moving it, or whether it's taking a series of images you've captured with a camera and moving them, or whether it's taking a live action, a photorealistic photograph of a person, and then turning it into animation. You certainly see everything on Instagram these days. And it's all art. It's all creativity. It's all coming from the same source. It's all coming from a creative spirit and imagination behind, the vision. You can tell when you look at something whether it's attractive to you or not, and whether someone put a lot of themselves into it or whether they're just copying a trend. But it doesn't make it bad art. It just makes it different art. So I haven't heard everything. I've been listening while I was in the waiting room. I agree that people either are aware of what's going on the planet or they're not. But technology, I'll point out one thing and then I'll stop talking, is for decades, the reason why the public didn't know about technology is, one, they weren't interested. Whenever I brought up technology in with my friends and family, they'd all change the subject. So there's the interest, but also traditionally, tech has evolved in the industry that uses the tech. So if I want to read about AI, I read my AI journals. If I want to read about computer-generated animation, I read my computer-generated animation white papers and journals. I go to the tech exhibits for immersive when I want to do hands-on testing of the new immersive technology. And so it's always been away from the public eye. It's just recently it's been in the public eye. So for people who are reading about tech or reading about AI or reading about computer animation for the first time, it's this overwhelming thing that they're coming to grips with, and for them it's new. But for those of us who adapted and already adopted the technology in the 80s, the 90s, the 2000s, the 2010s, and right now, it's not new. But humans have a tendency of, when they come across something they never come across before or read something they never read before, they have a tendency of thinking it's new, and they don't realize it's already in the refrigerator. It's already in their car. They've been using it for decades. We were chatting in the panel last week, and I said, the first satellite that used AI was launched in 1958. But nobody talked about it because they weren't interested in talking about it. There was something else they were interested in talking about. So yeah, people just need to calm down a little bit and educate themselves and not rely on other people to educate them, because there's always a fear factor when it comes to reading somebody else's interpretation of what's going on in the world.
Wow, that's quite a wealth of experiences. It took us back to 1980s to where we are, and I really love that. I love that. That's why I love the GatherVerse. You see, that's the whole essence of this gathering, because you get all perspectives all the way back to where we are now. Thank you, Lisa. And maybe anyone can jump in on this as well. How can AI be used responsibly in the creative industries right now? Perhaps you'd wish to jump on that.
Sure. This one, I think there's a lot of talk when it comes to the effects that AI is having on the creative industries, especially when it comes to like logo design, and because that's something that's easy to get an AI to do. You're dealing with simple symbols that are pretty much just, mashed together, versus creating, a whole tapestry that's watercolor or something like that that is actually trying to portray something very artistic. It's getting better at doing that kind of stuff. That being said, I do think attribution is a really big important piece of that, and AI's or OpenAI's move to use the C2PA standard, which is a way for artists to be able to at least, it's kind of like a sort of like a takedown notice, but it allows you to be able to claim the influence that AI had on a piece of art. I think that's really important. The way that AI works right now, it's really hard to do that. You could because we do that as humans already. When I go to draw something, I'm inspired by Van Gogh, or I'm inspired by other artists that came before me. That I looked at how they did things. I watched Bob Ross growing up as a kid. I saw his painting techniques. So these things contributed to my skill and my ability to produce whatever it is I'm creating. As long as we have a way of being able to maintain that attribution, I think that there's not as much harm. It's always something that we have to consider, and there's probably that's decision's going to be made by people smarter than me.
Yeah, and anyone else wants to jump on that? Stacey, see you leaning on. Do you want to contribute to that?
I think that people can't gatekeep AI, right? So it's like, is only Hollywood now going to have the opportunity to use these tools because everybody else is kind of way behind? So I think there's a responsibility, sure, like what Lisa said, or Wish, about educating yourself, right? But there's so much misinformation. Where do you start, right? And people should, but also there are people who don't have access to this type of information nor tools, working around the world and like, Bangladesh or Nepal, I'm sorry, but no one is really using AI, and everybody talk about democratizing access. Like, it's our responsibility as humans to ensure that this type of technology gets to as many people as possible. And that goes to the kind of inclusive nature, or even the privilege that some of us have of being able to even have this conversation. So I think it's just really important to make sure that as many people as possible have access.
Yeah, I see Lisa. Please jump on.
Yeah, I lift my hand up.
Yes, please jump on.
I'm nice and polite, the old-fashioned way. So, for decades, there were no credits for visual effects and animation artists in movies. We had to fight for that. We had to fight to have our work attributed to us. Up until we started getting credits, nobody even realized how many people were involved in doing the animation and visual effects. Now people complain because 30 minutes of the credits is visual effects and animation artists, depending on the movie you're watching. It's commercialization that drives home use and home market. And so we used to design all of our software in-house. And that's why I know we used AI, because as the data, information technology, the amount of data we were generating got larger and larger and larger. That's when we started using AI, because all AI is a software program that knows how to organize and arrange data faster and easier for the person using the data or generating the data. That's it. So it got to a point where it became scalable, and we stopped inventing technology in-house, our own in-house software programs. We had the internet a decade before the public had the internet. It was called the intranet, and it was studio to studio or within your own business, because it didn't get into the hands of the public until it was commercially viable. It was scalable. It's the same thing. We did all of our own software in-house until off-the-shelf software was invented, and you were able to go onto a website or in a store and literally buy that software to use at home. But there are many factors that drive something being used by professionals only and something being used by somebody at home. And one of those things is user-friendliness, graphical user interface, and also a language that is easy for people to understand, and a tool set that is easy for people to understand. So even though we talk about AI like it's an object and it's almost like a personality, a celebrity in its own, it's actually AI that enabled software from being used by professionals only to being able to people at home, artists having their own business, be able to buy off the shelf software that was easy to use. It was actually the AI that made that possible. Just like games, AI made gaming possible. Launching satellites, AI made that possible. Tracking the weather, AI made that possible. There's a misunderstanding about what AI is, and they should never have named it that way to begin with. It's just a software program that can organize data and find data faster than a human can. That's all. That's all it is. It's actually been used to help get things to the market, to every country. There hasn't been a country I've been in the world, including Africa, including Kenya, where I didn't see AI being used. It's so, like I said, it's just a software program that allows you to have access to more information than you've ever had access to before. And it's up to the human being what they do with anything. It's up to you to give yourself a credit. I've noticed on Instagram, a lot of the AI artists are doing attributes now, if you scroll down. And actually read their posts and not just look at the visuals. They're giving attributes and including influences. Like a friend of mine posted something. She's based in Hong Kong, and she gave an attribute yesterday to the original artist that inspired her for the work that she posted yesterday. But that's not something you can regulate. And whenever they've tried to regulate technology in my lifetime, it's never worked. And the only reason governments try to regulate things is to try to make money off of it. And you can't make money off of things like you used to. Before, you used to try to control radios or satellites or television or cable and make money off of it, or cell phones and make money off of it. But all you do is drive the price up, make it inaccessible to a large population on the planet, and that doesn't benefit anybody anymore. So when people talk about regulating, I don't think they really understand what regulating is. And I don't think they really understand that putting the power to regulate technology in the hands of government isn't necessarily a good thing, because the US is 20 years behind the technology in the rest of the planet, and it has been for 30 years. When I was working in Asia, they were like 20 years ahead of the US, but the regulating system in the US was keeping the US and causing it to go farther and farther behind. I don't care. It doesn't matter, because it's one planet. It's a circle. There are no sides. We're all in this together, and we're all growing together. But what I have seen working in developing countries is that they have the advantage of skipping ahead. So instead of spending gazillions of dollars on black and white TV and radio, and then laying cable, and then launching a satellite, and then going to color TV, and then going to high definition, it's billions and trillions of dollars to go through that evolutionary journey. But a lot of countries I've worked in, they went from no TV to flat screen panels on the wall. They went through not having to launch their own satellite to making a deal with Elon Musk and using his satellite. And so the same thing I'm seeing with AI is they haven't had to invest in the whole chain of evolutionary development of the technology. They're able to just use what they need when they need it. And
Yeah.
it makes it much more cost effective to share and to not regulate sometimes, but to let human beings grow in accepting the responsibility to have a value system and a justice system, and to create, self-generate an ethical system for yourself based on what you believe is important. And a lot of times people are only able to do that through living their life and making mistakes. Or if you don't want to call it a mistake, just say living your life, making a choice, living the result of the choice, and saying that was comfortable or that was really uncomfortable. And sometimes you just have to let people self-govern and trust that process as much as some people like governments to do things and trust the governments to do.
Yeah, thank you so much, Lisa. That's a very huge reflection there. And I actually agree with you. In countries like here in Africa, we are actually leapfrogging technologies. We moved from, we didn't have to go through the evolution cycle of the mobile phone. We just got the flat screens, we got the smartphones. It was just a leapfrog. Even with AI right now, the biggest discussion is leapfrogging. So I love that reflection. And this is our final question. What impact does AI have on the value of perception of art in society? Terence and Adrian, please join me on this.
Terrence, you wanna go first?
Unmuting. Hi. That was sure. Yeah, thanks. I mean, that was just fantastic. What an answer. Like I could just like I'm learning so much here. I love it. This is an excellent panel. I was looking at that question and it was making me think about how art is received by the public and just what value the public puts on that art. It's like a supply and demand issue in that case. I mean, traditionally, what we would in the U.S. we'd go to a movie theater to see a movie, and that was a whole night out. And I work in the flourishing world of immersive entertainment, which is now that's considered, you know, you go see a show or something like that, and people put different prices on it, and we're always talking about um, what the value is of something like that. What is the value of having one audience member come through a show versus having throughput of just like thousands of people coming through a show? So with that in mind, that's how I see this question of what impact does AI have on the value and perception of art in society. So first, how art is received, sure, but then how scalable and easily created it is once people are able to just kind of make their own. Will that devalue it? Is, you know, the question immediately that a lot of artists come to mind. But that also makes me think of that saying when people would go to modern art museums and say, "Oh, my 2-year-old could have drawn that," right? And then it's like, well, they should have, you know, kind of thing. But the whole joke there is that art has always spoken to the human condition of the story it tells us about ourselves reflects the reflection of our um, emotional experience in our lives. And so again, as technology and as AI becomes a catalyst to evolving cultures and societies and human art design, it will, I think the value will change with it. Because personally, I'm somebody who likes the imperfection of a demo tape because I like seeing the or hearing the humanity present in it, the mistakes, as Lisa was saying, or the choices made that you live with. To me, is one of the most human things one can do. And so when I see it and hear it in art, I'm always drawn to it. And much like drum machines again, what technology can do is give our illusion of perfection to a product in the result stage. And so that will always be pleasing for humans because it's something that we will never attain because perfection is unnatural and in the eye of the beholder. So perhaps value on process, to, you know, bring back Bob Ross again, and value on what it is to be human creating art and what makes where the humanity is in the art. That's what I think will be really interesting coming up. Thanks.
Sure, sure, that's interesting. Perhaps, Adrian, you can add to this issue and perspective or
Yeah, I love
perception.
that.
Sorry.
No, I love that. And, value and perception are very subjective, right? It's what do you give value to? How do you see something? But I think it's going to create value via the means of accessibility, right? We use Bob Ross because everyone loves trees, right? If you look at Bob Ross paint, this took years and years of learning and experience to tell his story through a visual medium. If you look at, and it kind of segues from the last panel as well, accessibility, part of that is, okay, do you have the money to spend hours and hours and hours perfecting your craft, right? This is going to create value in the means of, okay, now I can tell my story, but I just have to learn a few things, as opposed to going to a school and spending all this time that I may not have. I may have to have 2 jobs, and I have 4 kids, and these may be things that have been real hurdles and challenges. Now you can access and tell your story in an impactful way. People are going to want to start creating art or whatever their version of art is, because it's so accessible now, which really excites me.
Yeah, perhaps maybe I can add to that for the younger generation, maybe for the generation after and the generation after that. AI art is spreading quite fast. And I tend to believe there will be a time where AI art will supersede human art, because we live in a virtual world. We live in a world where people, this is particularly for art, that is art like this one, or drawings or paintings. It's more circulating. It's circulating now on Instagram, on TikTok. Everything that is circulating, most of them right now, it's AI generated art. So I think there's a generation that will know more about art gallery. If you ask them about art gallery, what is that? But they will be more familiar with maybe AI social media gallery. They will be more familiar in generating their AI. So I'm saying AI really changing the perception of art in the society. It might not happen now, but perhaps in the future or the future generations, if this kind of art continues to evolve and it continues to circulate, and perhaps someone else can add into that. For me, I'm looking at the future. Maybe up there, please add something into that if you may. Yeah,
Absolutely. I
please
think
do.
it's a very interesting point that you said, Lynn, because the example that came to my mind is the stick shift and today's automatic and now autonomous vehicles. There is a generation that has no idea that there was a stick shift that we used to drive, right? And it's not accessible anymore because it's no longer being made. So that it's just not there anymore for us to even want to learn it, right? And now there's simulations of that, which I recently read about. Where there's simulations of how a stick shift would work rather than having the actual vehicle. So we are in a crazy time in the fact that there would come a time when AI can add human mistakes within it on purpose, right? So if there's an art that we're like, okay, so it's imperfect, then AI can make it imperfect perfectly, so it's just about how that art is being depicted, and also the means that we ourselves are putting the foot, like we're just stopping ourselves from evolving and actually taking the physical tools, right? A pencil, a pen, or actual writing that no longer exists a lot of the times, and we write emails instead of sending a letter, right? So there's always change, and the way art is depicted or derived today, the meaning itself will change, right? So the value and perception that we talk about today can be completely different tomorrow because the ecosystem has changed. The world's the availability of certain things have changed because it's no longer there, right? Just the radio and today, and then iPod, and then today whatever streaming, right? We the My niece, for example, has no idea what a radio was or what a cassette was, right? Or like, what are you talking about? You're so old. And I'm like, okay, well, that's evolution, right? And certain things we just have to accept that with the change and with the evolution, with the transformation of society, a lot of things fall away and then there's a new reality that we have to come to terms with. So I think perception value, we cannot stop time, right? It keeps moving. So the value and perception also will keep evolving. Depending on the time that you are, the value is for just today. Because in the next hour there's a new update. And in the next few minutes there's something new that's happening, right? So it's effervescent. It's not something that we can put a solid ground on. We're on quicksand basically. Sorry, it was just such a downer to end the panel like that, but
Yeah, we
but
still have, yeah, we still have 5 minutes. Perhaps I think we still need, I still need, we feel, I need, okay, Stacey wants to contribute something at Adrian before we close up. Maybe Stacey, please contribute to it.
Just really quickly, everybody's been talking about time, and I like what Adrian said. It's about time and the kind of idea of like privilege and people having the time to like work on things for years because they don't have any other responsibilities. And so this is an opportunity to accelerate time and to give people, everyone, the opportunity to create. I really like what you say, Adrian. And then you even said it, is it Adia? It's really about time. And if we can take back that time and do more with less time, that's incredible. So the impact is good and it's also bad. And that's also life. As a mom, like that's what I teach my kids. So, but I love this idea of time. That was it.
Yeah, Wish?
Sure, I'll just add one little piece to that too. One thing to think about too when it comes to AI, there's three kind of basic types. There's the operator, which is an emerging type of AI. Then there's the type that is more analytical. It's AI is being used to just look at large data sets and alert you of changes and things that need to be done, like with stock market changes, stuff like that. But then there's the UX, which is how most of us are engaging with UI. And more, you're going to see that the devices that you have are the UX that you have is UI. You're going to just ask it to do the thing that you want it to do, whether it's draw something, drive somewhere, cook something, whatever it is. That's why we need to embrace it more, is because it's just becoming more and more of a ubiquitous part of our culture and society, because it's just an extension of who we are.
Definitely. Adrian?
Oh no, I was just saying Wish was trying to say something. That's all.
Terrence? Any close or parting shots?
To close, I mean, our gather was this was so nice and I learned so much and I'm so grateful for everyone here. And we're, the contrast of just the rising, presence of technology in the form of a UX that will become increasingly similar to how we interact as humans, like to echo what Wish was saying. Hopefully alongside it will elevate how we see each other as humans and how we connect and the value that has inherently to just be with each other and grow that way.
Yeah.
Thank you all.
Yeah, thank you so much. With all that said and done, perhaps I can leave you with a question because I feel like we still need, but time was not on our side. Does AI art have a soul? I don't know, but it's a very huge debate that can AI have a soul, and can the art that it generates have a soul like the art that we do generate? So that's a question for thought. And if you're a part of our audience, please engage with us. And as we look forward to the next session, thank you so much, our dear panelists. Your contributions were so valued. We gained a lot of insights from you. May our gather be well. Thank you so much. Come back again once more. Bye.